watched this show for a while, you know I'm a big fan of horror, with the recent films from the Conjuring universe being some of the most fun. So, with The Nun out this weekend, we thought we'd take a look at some of the horror effects from those films, like the missing face from The Nun. There's two ways to pull off this look. The simplest way, which is how it was done in the movie as well, is to have your actors wear a black morph mask. This thing right here. Luckily, the headpiece of the nun costume goes entirely around the face, so you don't have to worry about how it blends into the neck. And depending on your lighting, this could look perfect right in camera, like with these shots here. There's nothing extra that we had to do to make it work. We lit it dark and kept our face in the shadows, and there you go. But if the mask does pick up some light like it does in this shot here, it'll ruin the effect and give away any intensity that you've built up. So if that happens, you can just track the area and mask out an adjustment layer over the face, then you could drop on the curves effect and darken it up. The other way to achieve this effect is to shoot without a mask, and in After Effects you can track the face and then mask out a dark solid above the face like this. And if you want to make it look more three-dimensional, you can add a gradient effect and make one side slightly lighter and the other side slightly darker to give the impression of light reaching inside that hollow area. Of course, we are using it in this very specific nun-inspired way, but the general idea can be used for a lot of things, especially the morph suit. We've used that for a ton of effects, including the demon arm in my short film Ghost House. In this shot here, I had someone inside the closet with the morph suit on their arm, and then in post-production, Andrew Kramer added some cool ghostly particles coming off that arm, and we had our effect. So as always, take the ideas behind this one and run with it. Don't limit the concept to just this one use. But the next effect is one of the great moments from Annabelle Creation. In this scene, a child-sized figure in a sheet walks towards the other character until the sheet drops, revealing nothing underneath. This one was directed by David Sandberg, and the very cool and creepy idea originated from one of his short films called Attic Panic. You can also see similar effects in the ghostly photography of Christopher McKinney. And this is another that is really effective, but actually very simple, since it's technically an object removal effect. So just like painting out wires or a boom mic, we need to get rid of the person once the sheet has been removed. When shooting, this is going to be easiest if you lock down your shot. If you do want to add movement or go handheld, it's going to make it a lot more difficult, but you can do it. But the first thing that we will shoot is the shot with our performer in the sheet, then another person will pull the sheet off of them. It's best to have the ghost actor wearing similar colors to the sheet so you aren't seeing through to their clothing, which would make for a less ghostly and mysterious effect. You can also get different looking effects depending on how the sheet is removed, fast or slow, or how much it's covering the ghost actor. And to increase the creep factor, try to have the actor in different poses. Tilt their head around to get the best position that feels the most off to you. Now, for the effect to work, you need to make sure that the lighting remains unaffected between the two shots that we're going to be getting. So position the light in a place where the actor's shadow won't be visible on camera, which is another thing that could break the effect. But once the sheet is removed, have both actors step out of frame so you can get your background plate clean without anything else in it. So we now have this clean shot that we can work with in the end. Now in After Effects, have the background plate as your bottom layer and the actors on the layer above that. Duplicate the actor footage and keyframe the opacity to decrease over a few frames before the sheet is removed. Now comes the frame-by-frame fun of rotoscoping. We are going to mask out the sheet starting with the first frame that we begin to see our ghost actor being revealed. Then go through frame by frame, altering the mask around the sheet until it exits the shot. Of course, don't forget to hit the stopwatch next to the mask path or you have done all of that for nothing. And I've been there. Once that's done, you can keyframe the mask feather for the motion blur of the sheet over a few frames, and since your actor is wearing similar color to the sheet, it's less noticeable if the actor's pixels are shown once it's feathered. Then, if your second actor pulling the sheet is visible in frame, create a mask for that as well. Of course, you can use this effect on multiple things like objects as well, like getting rid of a chair. Behold! In The Conjuring, they did something similar, but in that one, the sheet was CG using cloth simulations. This gives you greater control over how it reacts, but we're not smart enough for that, so sponsor. Behold! Domain.com is all your website needs, including .com and .net domain names and intuitive website builder, so you can take the first steps in creating an identity online. Domain.com is affordable, reliable, and has the tools you need to build that website and start sharing your ideas with the world. No domain extension is going to help you tell your story like a .com or .net domain name. And if you want to brand yourself online, Domain.com has over 300 domain name extensions to fit your needs from .club to .space. And of course, they're giving you 15% off their already affordable prices when you get domain names, web hosting, and email. Just use the coupon code FilmRiot at Domain.com's checkout. And when you think domain names, think Domain.com.
Logo.
There's a few ways to achieve our last effect, which you saw a version of this in The Conjuring 2 inside the girl's room, which I assume that the way that they did this was all in camera with the crosses built into the walls being turned mechanically on cue, which would make it really easy to reset and repeat. But we don't have a set or fake wall, so the way that we did it was the easiest way that I could think of, and a pretty obvious approach too, which is all in camera using fishing wire. Before we put the cross on the wall, we attached the nail to the cross by adding a little wire to the backing so that when we were rotating it, it didn't fall off. Then we attach fishing wire to the bottom of the cross and the other side of that to a stick and put the cross on the wall. Now we can just pull that on cue, rotating it around to get our shot. And if going up is difficult for you, you can always do it in reverse and then just reverse that footage in post to get that. But I found going up a lot easier. Then grab a clean plate without the cross or anything else in frame. Then in your editing software, you can make simple masks to take out the fishing wire and the stick or anything else that might be visible. Depending on your angle and the light, you may or may not need the last step. The wire might show up depending on the angle of light, and you might be able to keep the stick out of frame. For us, we found that the closer that we got the stick to the cross, the more control we had over it. Then if you want a more stylized look, you can go more of a VFX route. You can either do this by using a still image of the cross, preferably filmed there on location, and a background plate without the cross in it. You'll mask out the cross and position the anchor point over the center of it, and then keyframe the rotation until it turns upside down. Now you're going to pre-comp the cross layer and add some instances of the drop shadow or radial shadow effects, angling it to match your lighting. If you want it to look more 3D or possibly see it from other angles, you can do the same thing using Video Copilot's plugin Element 3D. Once again, keyframing the rotation of the cross, just be sure to create After Effects lights that match your scene, or you can create the wall in Element 3D as well like this. And of course, like the other ones, you're not limited to just a cross. You could do this with picture frames or anything else. But that's it, 3 simple ghostly Conjuring universe style effects. And if you have some ideas of creepy effects that can be pulled off easily, post that below. And I'll see you next week when I take a picture of him to see if he's possessed or not.